shows that men have become more inactive than expected over the last 20 years. Obviously, this has clear implications for men's health, but what can we do about it? Well, let's speak to Rob Reed, who started yoga classes for men to encourage them to look after their own health. And hello to you there, Rob.
Hi Phil, how you doing?
Not bad at all. Thing is that in some ways, perhaps the lockdown did have a bit of a change, because I've never seen so many people walking and running around as I saw. Obviously, I was one of the few people that was going in and out on a regular basis during the lockdown, so a lot of people did start getting active.
Yes, yeah, definitely. And actually, I got 4-year-old twin boys, and I spent a lot of time racing after them on their balance bikes and that type of thing as they went increasingly longer distances during the lockdown, and it certainly kept me fit as well as them.
Yes, I mean, the thing is that as kids, boys or girls, I mean, they naturally want to be out there. About teenagers, then it starts to get a bit tricky. And I suppose once you actually then go over a certain age and perhaps become sort of instinctively less able to put yourself out there, that's not good news.
Absolutely, and I think one of the main problems probably is that as we progress through the ages, as you say, through as we're young children all the way through to teenagers and then into adulthood, I think that those kind of priorities change in terms of what we might need in terms of physical activity. And what we might find is that actually as we get older, as we move into adulthood, that actually those kind of, particularly, middle age, that kind of thing, that actually those kind of physical activities, maybe football, cricket, that type of thing that we may have done in our teenage years into our 20s, aren't quite so appealing to us. If I think about the fact that when I was in my early 20s, I was playing five-a-side football and squash a couple of times a week. Not that I wouldn't enjoy playing that now and doing that, but actually I'd probably be blowing a gasket in my mid-40s. And so actually for a lot of people, those priorities change. Different life events also impact on your ability to kind of think about what you actually want to do with your precious time that you've got available to you. And so because of that, then you can just get out of the habit and lose confidence and ability and just think that actually there isn't an opportunity for you in life to do any kind of physical exercise. So I can totally understand how an increasingly sedentary life becomes just a norm for so many people.
Yes, so how do you get active? How do you say to perhaps someone, especially a man, who clearly has been spending a bit too much time on the sofa watching the telly, come on in, it's lovely. You can have some exercise right now, because you can't, as it were, drag a horse to water, can you?
That's it. And actually, sometimes it's bringing it into people's homes. Like a lot of what I've been doing during the summer this year has been running a summer stretch challenge, which is like 15-minute daily stretch yoga sessions basically in my back garden, raising money for charities that have been at the forefront of like COVID response around elderly isolation and homelessness and that type of thing. And they're 15-minute sessions that a lot of people have really been getting a huge amount of benefit from. And there are likely to be people that have been accessing those sessions that are the kind of people that may not have done any exercise for a long time. And in fact, when I ran a number of sessions earlier in the year as part of Mental Health Awareness Week, I had people again that had kind of just lost touch, lost interest in doing any kind of physical activity. And it was my sessions, those 15 minutes that they could just find in those small pockets of time that they had available, that really made a massive impact, massive positive difference in terms of their physical and mental health and well-being.
Are men more resistant to yoga? Did you find that?
Yeah, God. I run a session. My classes that I run are in Bristol, and in terms of face-to-face anyway. And I remember when I actually launched the classes, we put down on the posters that it was yoga for men, and in very small type at the bottom we said, but women could attend if they wanted to, because we almost wondered whether get a really negative reaction about the fact we'd actually set up some classes and had set up some classes that were specifically for men. But actually what I got from the local community was a huge amount of support. And ever since starting the classes, I've just had an increasing number of men joining me for the sessions. And they love it. They're the kind of people that would never have ordinarily done yoga. And in fact, when they'd gone to classes before that had been, say, female-dominated, they got discouraged by the fact they were surrounded by the Bendy Wendy's of this world, but also sometimes the teachers had maybe singled them out, and made them feel really quite uncomfortable. And so because of that, they just got kind of disengaged from being able to think about doing those kind of activities. So through my classes, I provide a really safe space. We teach at all ability levels and that kind of thing. I get a real broad cross-section of ages as well, all the way up to retirees. And it's really making a difference to them. And they are probably the kind of people that either wouldn't do any other exercise and just get really into this, or they're doing something else alongside it and it just complements that activity really nicely.
When you compare yoga, it doesn't matter whether it's male or female, to another activity, be it swimming or running or lifting weights or just going for a nice walk or a cycle, what are the benefits physically and mentally for yoga in comparison to them?
I think sometimes it's just down to the fact, if you talk about other activities, that as much as you will see real benefits from doing that kind of exercise, I think there is an element of competition, and it's not to say that you don't have competition at times as taking part in, say, a yoga class, but it's about the fact that actually you get a better understanding, because maybe depending on what style of yoga you're doing, you may be going at a slower pace and you're becoming more in tune, I suppose, to the way in which the body feels on a daily basis. Your energy levels, your emotional state, you bring all of that into the equation as well. And so you can better understand, I suppose, how you kind of take part and participate in exercise that really benefits you. And you can see that progression over time. I certainly see it with the guys that come to my classes. I've had guys say to me that, retirees especially, that they're able to tie their shoelaces again. And they've not been able to do that for years, or they're able to reach up into corners when they're painting and decorating, and again, they've not been able to do that for a long time. So it's those kind of minor everyday miracles that really make a difference to people, that actually aren't about being able to swim 50 lengths in a pool or anything like that. It's just about the things that matter to their everyday lives.
Yes, and does it make a difference? I mean, literally, do people say, my trousers are looser, I do feel stronger, that sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. I've said it before, actually, when I've been on BBC Radio Bristol, that a lot of the times the guys that come to me are almost apologetic about the fact they can't touch their toes, and they see that as a real ambition in life. And what I try and teach them is actually, that isn't the goal really you need to be thinking about. It's just the journey towards your toes type of thing. You may never get there, and in fact you can just bend your knees if you really want to touch your toes. So it's about that kind of lifelong journey that you can take, that's branded as yoga, but actually it's just whatever works for you. So if you really want to take a specific interest in a particular area, maybe around anatomy or the spiritual side, or the breathing practice or the meditations, that type of thing, it all gets kind of packaged up, and you can kind of take the elements that work well for you. So it's such a broad cross of opportunities that actually for a lot of people they find something that really resonates with them, and they kind of pursue that activity.
Rob, really good to speak to you. It's fascinating as well. Have a good day as well. Look after yourself. That's
Thanks very much.
pleasure. Rob Reed there.